On the last day of school, I threw a stack of cash right at the school beauty in front of everyone. Lin Suisui, we're done. I'm bored. In the dead silence, she did not cry or make a scene. She just silently bent down, picked up the cash, brushed off the dust, and hoarsely replied with one word, okay. After that summer, she boarded a train heading toward a bright future, while I flew abroad alone, to start a long, agonizing cycle of chemo. That was 10 whole years ago. Now, in a top hospital, I lay in bed staring at my phone, completely bored, scrolling through wigs. Thanks to intense chemo, my head was as bald as a boiled egg. This wavy Korean style looked nice. Suddenly, the door swung open, and a cold scent of disinfectant rushed in. I looked up, locking eyes with someone cold and familiar. In that instant, time froze. Wearing a white lab coat, Lin Suisui stood right there. The nurse next to her, completely oblivious, introduced her. Professor Lin, this is our new patient, Lush. The moment she looked at me, my mind went blank. I almost dropped my phone on my face. The person I thought I would never see again was now my attending doctor. I scrambled to adjust my mask, wishing I could bury my face in the blankets. I did not dare look, but I felt a heavy, freezing gaze staring down at me. An intern began reading my chart. Lu Xingju, male, diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma 10 years ago. Further diagnosis. No need to go on, she interrupted. The interrupted intern looked up. Professor Lin, do you know this patient? My heart jumped into my throat. I nervously traced lines on my black screen, waiting. Finally, her voice cut through, flat as water. No, the case is just a bit unusual. So I took a closer look. She turned to the next bed, never giving me another glance. The moment the door shut, I collapsed onto the bed, drenched in cold sweat. She really seemed to have forgotten me. But then, I was so cruel back then. She must have hated me. 10 years ago, we belonged to two completely different worlds. Back then, I was the notorious troublemaker, running wild just because my family had money. My grades were dead last. Desperate to save a lost cause like me, the teacher went to great lengths, pairing me up with her. Lin Suisui was my exact opposite, brilliant, aloof, and painfully beautiful. Her entire world revolved around endless test prep and scoring number one. Her only flaw was her family's poverty. At first, she ignored me completely. But I was back then, guys did not know real romance. It was all about flowers, love letters, and snacks. I sneered at all of it. One sunny morning, while all the other guys in school were giving their goddesses useless junk, I marched in carrying a heavy box and slammed it onto her desk with a loud thud. Everyone gasped. She frowned, looking up at me. I patted the box proudly. The complete college prep exam series and exclusive study guides you cannot buy anywhere. Plus, I am paying for all your exam fees this semester. They say persistence wears down any wall, and even the icy Lin could not resist my simple, direct, and practical approach. Within less than a semester, we became the school's strangest duo. Those days were beautiful. Usually, I hated listening to teachers and would fall asleep instantly. But if she tapped my head with her pen, saying coldly, Lu Xingju focused on the question, I would snap away. I would lay on my desk pretending to study while stealing glances at her face. On summer afternoons, sunlight filtered through the curtains, illuminating even the soft fuzz on her skin. Look at the paper, she would say, why are you staring at me? The answers are not on my face. Her ears would turn red. You are prettier than the questions. I would grin. Under her brutal training, I miraculously turned things around. In just 1 year, my score jumped by over 100 points. Before the big exam, we bought a giant map of China. Lin Suisui drew a red circle around Beijing and drew a straight line connecting it to our small town Lu Xingju. It is a promise. We will meet in Beijing. Nolan, we go to college together. Her eyes were shining brighter than the stars. Dio, whoever breaks it is a liar. Back then, I truly believed the future was completely within reach. If only that damn medical exam had not shattered my dreams. I clung to the toilet, vomiting until my vision went dark. My friend wanted to call a doctor, but I grabbed him. Do not. If she recognizes me as that jerk, she will order 100 rounds of chemo just for revenge. Just then, a cool, quiet voice drifted from behind. Who told you that you need 100 rounds of chemo? I froze, not daring to look. That night, the nurse gossiped while giving me my shot. Strange. Professor Lin never handles minor details, but she specifically ordered imported anti-nausea medication for you. Did you know she is a prodigy who fast-tracked her medical doctorate? Word is she is marrying the director's son, another doctor from abroad. A perfect match. My friend's smile froze. I plucked at a loose thread, smiling bitterly. She has a glorious path, and I have a dead end. After that, she did not show up. When I was discharged, my friend rented me a ground-floor apartment. Just as I settled in the class monitor and some classmates dropped by for dinner, the kitchen was bustling, prepping vegetables. The monitor asked, is your illness Hodgkin's lymphoma? Lin Suisui is a top specialist. Did you reach out to her? My hand slipped. I wanted no connection. Before I could speak, the doorbell rang, followed by excited gasps. Lin Su, you made it. I froze on the spot. Not wearing a mask, my puffy pale face was completely exposed. Wearing a white shirt, her gaze cut through the crowd and locked onto me. After a silent second, she turned to the monitor. Let us make a mild hot pot, low oil and salt. While everyone was busy, we were left alone in the living room. Feeling uneasy, I reached for my mask. With a snap, she broke the water spinach. Since I already recognized you, is there any need for that? I froze and pulled my hand back. I thought you did not recognize me. No need. We are not close, she said flatly, very bluntly. I wished the floor would swallow me. Just then, the monitor called for paper towels. Saved. I rushed to check the TV stand. I pulled too hard and an old frame wobbled on top, crashing down. Before I could move, a pale hand cut it. Lin Sui had stepped in front of me, her eyes locked on the photo inside. A candid shot I took 10 years ago of her sleeping face. Lu Shengju explained this. Her voice was unreadable. I scratched my head, pulling out a clump of hair. Giving up, I muttered. It is just a trend to keep your ex's photo to remember lost youth. She pointed to the silly picture next to it of me and my friend. So, you have been dating guys too? I braced myself. Yes, both men and women. I like both. Her face darkened. She slammed the frame back onto the shelf, sending up a puff of dust. Grabbing her coat, she said, an emergency at the hospital. At the door, she looked back at me, cowering, and let out a soft, mocking laugh. Is there any point in an unwanted ex staying? The door slammed shut. During my next hospital stay, while I was arguing with customer service because they sent stockings instead of a wig, she walked in. I tossed my phone and hid under the blanket like a turtle. Lu Xingju, she said. I muffled my voice. He is not here. I am his friend. Seconds later, she pulled the blanket back. I looked up guiltily with my messy, bedhead hair. A male doctor nearby tried to diffuse the tension. Smiling, Suasui is here to adjust your plan. She frowned at my ridiculous state. Since you are not in the mood, I will return tomorrow. Wait. I grabbed her coat. Her steps paused. Her gaze fell on my darkened fingertips, and a flash of pain crossed her eyes. Resuming her professional tone, she closed the folder. I want to switch you to a new targeted drug. It is highly effective but has strong side effects. You must sign a clinical trial agreement. I replied instantly. I will sign. My life is worthless anyway. No regrets, Lu Xingju, she snapped. His voice shook slightly. I do not play with lives. I am sure about this plan. Looking at his tightly pressed lips, my heart finally settled. Bring on the brutal side effects. That evening I was throwing up violently again. While my friend went home to grab my things, I wheeled myself to the garden for some fresh air. A well-dressed man approached. Lu Xingju, what a coincidence. It was Song Yan, the doctor who had been with Sui. It turns out he is the hospital director's son and her. Adjusting his gold-rimmed glasses, he sneered. So, you are the ex-boyfriend who dumped her for cash. Did you get sick just to play some tragic drama hero and push her away? Idiotic. But thanks to you, we are engaged now. Fury boiled inside me. I looked up and glared. Then wire me $5 million to say thank you. I regret it. Okay. I will go win her back right now and tell her I still love her just to spite you. Instead of getting mad, he smirked and looked behind me. Suasui, if your ex confesses, will you take him back? My smile froze. I turned around like a robot, in the glow of the sunset. Lin Suasui stood with her hands in her pockets. You can try. I was stunned. Tell me you still love me, and let us see if I return to your side. Song Yan gave a smug smile and walked off. Suasui walked over, took my wheelchair, and pushed me along the lake. Not planning on talking, she asked. I picked at my fingernails, tears stinging my eyes. I only said that to piss off Song Yan. I am sorry for causing you trouble. How could a guy like me ever love her now? She suddenly stopped, walked around, and knelt before me. My engagement with Song Yan is just his father's wishful thinking. I made him say those things today. I gasped, my bottled-up bitterness finally exploding. Well, congratulations then. Are you happy now that you see me looking like a total wreck? You are incredibly stupid. Her eyes welled with tears as she gripped my shoulders. Did you really think I cared about a stack of money? That clinical trial recruitment was sent to you by our class president because of me. Why did I, a literature major, end up as a doctor? Lu Xingju, if it were not to save your life, I would never have studied medicine. My mind went completely blank. She knew everything. She wiped her face quickly. You are sick, so I will not argue. But remember this. You will never get rid of me. That night I called our class president to confirm he had indeed told her about my condition a long time ago. She had waited outside my apartment for a week, barely eating, losing 10 pounds before changing her major to medicine. Xingju, do not live with regrets. Hanging up, I sobbed quietly in the dark. I thought I was playing the tragic hero, but the most important person in my life had spent 10 lonely years fighting to save me. The hospital door pushed open, and Suasui stepped in against the light. Seeing my tear-streaked face, she softened. Where does it hurt, dummy? Why did you change your major? What if I had died? She let out a breath, walking over to let me beat her chest weakly. When I finally cried myself out, she knelt down, her eyes shining like stars. Now that we both know, can we get back together and never part? I shrank back. Nope. I will only drag you down. I might die. Lush. She gripped my shoulders, raising a hand to make a vow. I swear, even if death parts us, I will never give up on life. I will live on for the both of us. Now, are you ready to say you love me? Like a bird battered by a long storm, I had finally found a place to land after 10 long years. I let down my guard, hugged her neck, and agreed to get back together. After my second round of chemo, my landlord chose to pay a penalty just to evict me. Suisui peeled an apple and said casually, "Move into my place. It is close to the hospital, and as a doctor I can look after you." Just like that, I moved into a luxury apartment. Though we cohabitated, I was still pretty self-conscious, and shy. In the middle of the night I got up to use the bathroom. I opened the door to find her reading in the living room. Since I was not wearing my wig, I froze, exposing my bald head. She walked over gently and pulled down the hands covering my head. Pushing me against the wall, she kissed me until I gasped for air. "I have wanted to kiss you for so long," she murmured, stroking my smooth scalp. "Seeing you stress over that wig, I did not want to push it. I look hideous, like a monster," I mumbled, self-deprecatingly. "You are not ugly. You are handsome." She pulled me into the bathroom, pointing to the electric clippers on the counter to shave the rest of my head. I was shocked. "Are you crazy? You are a doctor. Your image matters." Sitting on a small stool, she looked at my reflection. "I am still quite young. Sometimes patients' families think I do not have enough experience. Maybe a shaved head will make me look more experienced." And her voice softened. "I want to do this with you." My eyes welled up. I could not refuse. My hands shook as I helped shave off her beautiful long hair. Half an hour later, 2 bald heads stared back at us in the mirror. She planted a soft kiss on my lips. "From now on, I shave your head, and we are even. No grudges." I laughed through my tears. "You dummy." Later I bought 2 wigs, one for each of us. We made an unspoken pact, look professional in public, but once we were home, we could be 2 carefree bald heads. When my class president heard my condition had stabilized, he organized another reunion. On the phone, he said hesitantly, "We will not invite Suisui this time to avoid any awkwardness." Suisui, who was busy fixing a light bulb, spoke directly to the speakerphone. "He will be there on time." We heard a cup crash on the other end of the line. "Holy crap, are you 2 back together?" That Saturday, Suisui and I walked into the venue holding hands, immediately fueling everyone's curiosity. Who made the first move? It was me. I was wrong before and made him suffer. Suisui replied calmly. Several drinks later, during a game of truth or dare, the bottle spun and pointed directly at Su. The question was, "How many times have you loved, and which was the most unforgettable?" She looked at me, her gaze steady. "Only once, with Lucy." It turned out, all these years, her heart only held that unfinished first love. Next, the bottle pointed at me. "When did you cry the hardest?" I squeezed her hand tightly. During my first chemo session, when I found her old note saying, "Let us meet at the top." I had pushed away my favorite person. That regret was far more painful than any physical sickness. In the final round of dare, the bottle landed on Suisui again. "What have you wanted to do for a long time?" She stood up, her voice clear. "Marry Lu Xing." The room erupted. Amidst the deafening cheers, I stared at her in complete disbelief. Late that night, a slightly tipsy Suisui pulled me into the bedroom. Afterward, I heard her on the phone in the living room, sounding angry. "Mum, this is my business. If it were not to save Lu Xingju, I would never have studied medicine. When you secretly changed my college major back then just for a $20,000 kickback, did you think about this day?" I woke up instantly, feeling like I had been struck by lightning. So that was the hidden truth behind her decision. "If you ever cause some trouble again, I will pretend you are not even my parents anymore." She hung up and realized I had heard everything. I asked if medical school had been tough. Hugging me tightly, she murmured, "Not at all. As long as I knew you were at the end, any hardship was sweet." Our paths were destined to cross. Suisui and Lu Xingju were always meant to be. After that day, we set our wedding date for 6 months later, giving my body time to stabilize and letting my hair grow back. Marriage is a major life event, and we could not have 2 bald heads standing at the altar. That would be a sight to see. 6 months flew by. Under her constant care, I gained weight, and my hair grew in thick. Even if it was short, there was plenty to style. My reflection in the mirror looked rosy and healthy, not like a cancer patient at all. The night before our wedding, I gathered my courage and called my family. It rang endlessly before someone finally picked up. My mother's voice sounded polite but distant. "Xingju, how are you doing in Beijing? What does the doctor say?" "Everything is very stable." I paused, taking a deep, heavy breath. "Mom, I am getting married. It is Suisui. She's a major doctor in Beijing now." "Oh, marriage is wonderful news." My mother's tone shifted instantly, sounding deeply relieved. "With the doctor looking after you, your dad and I can finally rest easy. I want to bring her back to meet you." Before I could finish, A dog started barking on the other end, followed by my little brother's childish voice. The dog knocked over my Legos, and my snacks are all over the floor. My mother panicked instantly. Oh dear, get the dog away. Xingju, things are a bit messy here. Let us talk about the rest some other day. Okay, listening to the dial tone, my invitation to bring her home to meet them got stuck in my throat. Back when I got sick, my parents had a second child to carry on the family line. They had emptied their savings for my treatment. I did not blame them for focusing on my healthy, smart little brother. But learning they had a dog and never even told me, it felt like a cold draft blowing through my heart. The wind blew through the empty space. Lin Suisui was right beside me. Without asking a single thing, he just gripped my hand tightly, our fingers interlocking. Lu Xingju, marriage is between us. From now on, I am your family. You only need me. Looking at his determined eyes, my own grew hot. I nodded heavily. Yes, having you is enough. Ultimately, we chose Beijing for our wedding, keeping it simple without a grand ceremony. We didn't even notify our parents. On the night we got our marriage certificate, we rented a cozy little restaurant, inviting only old classmates and local friends. The class president got wasted again, jumping onto a chair with a spoon as his microphone. He bawled his eyes out, yelling, "Guests, today is my brother's big day." These two had such a hard journey to get here. There was no master of ceremonies, so his tearful speech was the most sincere blessing. Amid everyone's cheers, Lin Suisui and I exchanged rings engraved with our names. My childhood friend tugged Lin's sleeve, forcing him to swear, "You have to treat my brother right." Suisui smiled and promised, "Don't worry, my life belongs to him." That night, we all messed around together, feeling like we were back in our carefree student days. The next day we set off on our honeymoon trip. We made a pact to take tons of photos wherever we went. Our old candid shot was too blurry, so we wanted 10,000 high-definition pictures to cover our walls. Over the next few years we traveled across the country, from the snow of Kangshan in Ahei to Dunhuang's Crescent Lake, from Changbai Mountain to the coconut groves of Sun. When I was young, I always feared dying any day, feeling like every extra year was stolen. Suisui always comforted me, saying, "Don't fear, I'm here." He was my primary doctor, my partner, and above all, my mental pillar. Under his constant care, my body miraculously stayed stable. The photo wall at home went from sparse to completely crowded. The two people in those pictures aged from a young couple to mature adults, with wrinkles creeping around our eyes and gray dusting our temples. I lived from 28 to 38, then 48. The year Lu Xingju passed away, he was already a 69-year-old man. For a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma patient, this was a miraculously long life. But this relapse was aggressive. By now, Lin Suisui was a leading academician in the medical world. Though medicine had advanced tremendously over the decades, those aggressive treatments were too cruel to inflict on a frail 69-year-old body. We wanted dignity, not just to linger on. Conservative care was our mutual choice. Before he left, Lu Xingju held Lin Suisui's hand. Wasted away as he was, he still smiled, comforting his partner. I made it to see. You have to admit I'm pretty awesome. Lin Suisui didn't cry. He just held Lu's withered hand tightly, eyes full of longing. After I go, use my medical files to publish a paper. It's a rare case. Don't waste it. In your free time, don't just stay cooped up inside. Go do some square dancing. After staring at my face for over 40 years, you must be sick of it by now. Never sick of it, Suisui whispered. Lu Xingju, I could never get tired of you in this lifetime. Enveloped in warmth, Lu Xingju slowly closed his eyes. It had been 41 years since we married. He passed away very peacefully, as if he had just drifted off while waiting for the doctor's rounds. Suisui handled the funeral calmly. Everyone said he was too composed, but only he knew his heart was completely hollow. He turned away everyone's company and returned alone to that empty old house. They had been together for over 40 years without children, wanting to avoid genetic risks and extra worries. Now, only he was left in this house. Suisui didn't touch Lu Xingju's belongings. His clothes still hung in the closet, organized just as they always were. His toothbrush and razor remained by the sink. On the balcony was the spider plant Lu cherished but kept half. Suisui still watered it daily without fail. The photo wall stretched from their first honeymoon picture at 28 to 6 in Suzhou's humble administrator's garden. Thousands of crowded pictures documented their lifetime. Sometimes Suisui would sit on the sofa staring at the photo wall for an entire afternoon. When mealtime came, he would habitually cook for two, setting out 2 pairs of bowls and chopsticks. He would stare blankly at the empty seat across from him, then silently clear away the extra food. At first his students were worried sick, taking turns to visit, fearing he might do something drastic. But for 6 months, Suisui lived his life as usual. The house remained spotless. He even began writing books, compiling his life's work in Lu Xingju's miraculous medical case. Into text, everyone thought he had moved on. In the blink of an eye, another 5 years passed. Suisui was now 74, his health declining. Even a simple cold would leave him coughing for weeks. On the morning of their wedding anniversary, he woke up early and dressed up neatly, wearing the shade of lipstick he loved when he was young. On his way to the cemetery, he picked a bunch of fresh red roses, heavy with dew, just like their once passionate love. Arriving at the cemetery, he went to see the elderly keeper as usual. "Suisui, you're here. You look great today." "Yes, I came to see if he got my letters," Suisui asked, repeating the same question he had asked on every anniversary for 5 years. The keeper searched the rusty mailbox, then shook his head. "None this year. That was the last one." Hearing this, a flash of loneliness crossed Lin Susi's eyes, but it was followed by a sense of expected relief. He walked into the cemetery to Lu Xingju's tombstone. The photo on it captured him forever at his happiest age, smiling brightly. He set down the roses and, ignoring the cold ground, sat down right beside the tombstone. He pulled a sealed bag from his coat, containing a stack of well-preserved letters. These were what the keeper had gradually handed him after Lu Xingju passed away. Lu had written them in secret and left them with the keeper. He told him if he doesn't visit, don't give them to him. That means he has started a new life. But if he always comes, give him one each year. Suisui opened the first letter. Though he knew the words by heart, he read them as intently as the first time. "Lin Suisui, do you miss me to death? Hold on. Think about what you promised me. You have to live well. I heard your students ran into academic troubles. Academian Z, you must work hard for all mankind. And my spider plant, take good care of it. If it dies, I won't let you off, even as a ghost." Suisui smiled slightly, his fingers tracing the familiar handwriting. The second letter was from the second year. All right. You actually kept the plant alive. If I knew, we should have raised a kid to keep you on your toes. Any cute old men catch your eye lately? Tell me if there are. Of course I'll be jealous, but I'll screen them for you from down here first." Tucked in between were a few rambling letters, filled with life's trivial details and unfulfilled regrets. Suddenly remembered the yak hot pot we had in Jujahiguan. It was incredibly delicious. Go eat it once, just for me. The southern lychees are ripe around the summer solstice. The Guiwei variety is best. Fly over to eat them fresh. Don't save money. We only saw half of Jiangxi. Your stomach is bad now. Eat less spicy food. As he read, Suisui smiled through his tears. He could picture Lu Xingju scratching his head as he wrote, grinning the entire time. He was always like this. Terrified, Suisui would feel lonely, trying every way to make his presence felt in his remaining years. The stack of letters quickly dwindled until only the last one remained, sent last year. "Lin Suisui, here you are again. Has life become so boring that you're talking to a dead man already? My dear professor, what should I do? I can't write anymore. I was always afraid you'd act on impulse and come find me, so I babbled on like this to hold you back. I've written over 20 letters, haven't I? I bet you won't even see this one. By now, you might be surrounded by kids and grandkids if you read, or maybe traveling the world. But if you're still reading this, Lin Su, I admit I am deeply moved. I won the whole world, but it must end here. I won't write anymore. I'm truly sorry for leaving you alone for so long. Sometimes I think my stubbornness in making you suffer in this world is really too cruel. I won't interfere with your decisions anymore. If you're tired, then rest. I won't wish you a long life anymore. I wish you everything you desire and eternal happiness. Lu Xing." Suisui finished the letter, his hands shaking slightly. He packed them back into the bag and pressed it against his chest. This late autumn truly received no more letters. Maybe he didn't need to write anymore. He must be getting impatient waiting over there. As it grew dark, the keeper drank some wine to ward off the cold and went to bed early. After a night of heavy snow, the keeper threw on his coat and went out rounding the corner. The snow sweeper froze. He spotted a figure slumped against Lu Xingju's tombstone, buried in snow, almost blending into the white world, curled up and clutching something tight, completely motionless. The old man's heart skipped a beat. Dropping his broom, he rushed over. Frost-coated Lin Suisui's eyebrows, her face peaceful as a sleeping baby. Lin Suisui collapsed, her letters scattered across the ground, bright red rose petals striking against the cold snow. She was after 5 years apart, on a bitter, snowy night, she went to find her young man.